Kia ora, good morning everybody in my 10 Science 2 class, continuing on with the geology. I hope you're all well and healthy and safe. And let's have a get rolling on this thing. I've got something different for you today. I've actually got a little bit of writing, well not so much writing as drawing, sketching things up. Okay, let's get going here. I'd like to look at these things, revisiting plate encounters, revisiting two types of crust, and then talk about combinations of things that happen with two combinations for impacting, squeezing up against each other, and one example for spreading plates apart. Moving on. Hello, I'm going to kick my machine along here and get things busy. Yeah, try this. And moving along one more time. Okay, a reminder from last time, there are three types of plate encounters. There is squeezing together, which can have two or three different types of effect. There is pulling apart, and then we'll look at that. There's one example in the Southern Ocean, there's another in the Atlantic. Another one where the plates grind past each other, and I won't be covering that today so much. We'll look at that next time. Now, a refresher, there's two types of crust. Move my face out of the way here, I might move it up here actually. We have oceanic crust, which is denser rock. All rock is heavy, but the oceanic crust made of basalt normally is heavier. And continental crust, even though it's heavy, it is lighter than the other stuff. And this is thick and that's thin. That's useful to know. Now, when plates meet up against each other, there's two or three different things that can happen. If oceanic crust meets continental, and the oceanic crust is heavier than the continental crust, then what happens is we've got oceanic crust coming in here, meeting into continental crust here. The textbooks say that the continental crust, the oceanic crust dives under. I tend to think of it's sort of the continental crust tends to rumple up on the top, but that's okay, both work. When that happens, if we look at this, if the up here, if we have the continental crust sort of goes underneath because it's heavier, when that happens, the front end here has got lots of water and other things in it, and that helps rock to melt. When the rock melts, the molten liquid pushes up through the solids and pops out and bringing gases and stuff like that, and that's a volcanic eruption. Now my face is in the way again, I'll move it down here. If continental crust meets continental, well, one's not going to go up above the other. The two are going to meet together and then just wrinkle up. And a good example of that is where India pushed into Asia, and we finished up with the Himalayas. That's quite a wrinkle. The Himalayan mountains are quite a wrinkle. That's quite a, and my face is in the way again. And I've got my face out of the way again up here. Sorry about that. Interestingly, nowhere on Earth that I know of, and nobody's put it in the textbooks, is there a place where oceanic crust meets oceanic. I'd like to know more about the mechanism. Maybe you might like to know more about it. Maybe you could look it up. Moving on. Now, if we look at this is a stylized view, a simplified view of Earth from space, and the blue water is deep and the lighter color water is shallower. You can see that there's a shallower ridge, shallower long mountain chain underneath the water in between the two Americas and Asia and Europe and Africa. You can also see that America used to fit quite nicely in here into Africa, and the fossils and plants and animals and things all bear that and all support that. Moving on, looking underneath, if we look at a cross section through this on the bottom of the ocean, the plates spread apart along these mountain chains, these ridges. So we've got a mid-ocean ridge. What happens is, we'll cover it later on, but a slowly rising plume of rock, again about the speed your fingernails grow at, comes up, hits up here, and then it spreads either way. It comes up and then it can't go up, so it goes sideways. So when it does, it drags the plates with it, pulls them apart. Then their cracks are formed and magma and lava comes up through and chills down to make new seafloor. So we've got a rising plume dragging the plate sideways, the crack opens up and molten liquid forms up in there. Moving ahead a little bit, this is a map from I found on the internet, and this website supports it. Iceland is the only place on Earth where the mid-ocean ridge is higher than the sea level. So you've got this spreading apart, visible above the water. And I found somebody's travel blogs. You can, where the cracks pull apart and rainwater fills it in and meltwater, you can dive down, and this is called the Silfa. It's the crack in Iceland where the two parts are moving apart. And there are some bridges up there where they've had to have rollers on one end, so as the ground moves, or sliding plates, so that the one end of the bridge is anchored down and the other end of the bridge can move as the ground moves apart. This is somebody's travel pictures from up there. This is where the ground is pulled apart, and this is called the Silfa, and they go in and snorkel in there. It is hideously cold. Now, what your mission for me today, as we come back here, if I come roaring back through the slides, I would like you please to sketch in your books this picture, actually preferably a little cartoon sequence, so we have that, and then that, and then that. Please draw that picture in your books. Then I'd like you to have these two pictures, before and after, the plates meeting and then wrinkling. And I also would like you please to sketch a little cartoon of this situation with the plates pulling apart, the gap forms, lava comes up, and then cools into new rock. And I think that would be a good place for us to stop there. Next time we'll look at what happens when the plates slide past each other. But for now, today we've looked at two versions where they meet, oceanic and continental. We looked at continental versus continental, and we looked at spreading. Thank you, fellas. Sorry this is a bit longer than normal, but maybe it might be a bit of a break in your day. So get some colouring pencils if you have them. If you've only got a writing pen, cool, do it in just that. Do what you can. And I am going to now make a wee change here. Change this here. Finally, for me, I thought I'd bring my face up a bit bigger so you can see it. Take care, look after your family, do nice things for your folks, and do nice things for other people as well. Life is tough at the moment, and some people who on the outside are coping quite well might be struggling, and if a young person does something nice, it might really give them a lift. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate your help and your time. Take care.